Wafanyakazi wote tujiunge pamoja, wafanyakazi wote tujiunge pamoja, wafanyakazi wote tujiunge pamoja, tujitenge hatari. Haya haya tujiunge, haya haya tujiunge, haya haya tujiunge, tujitenge hatari. Solidarity forever.
No party should intimidate the other, and it is clearly spelled. Even when you go to the recognition agreement, the provision on intimidation is clearly spelled out. And therefore, during the negotiations and consultations, this letter was uncalled for, because the author of the letter attended all meetings that led to the collective bargaining agreement. And she signed it herself. So it is to our dismay that we see the same person intimidating the teachers, directing cows and town clerks to go and monitor. We want to implore them to go and monitor, because they will find the schools empty and they will report that the schools are empty. We only want to continue to encourage our members not to go back to school until our issues are addressed satisfactorily. We cannot stand this unfairness where one teacher enters the class with 4 million, and on his way out, the one earning 800 enters and is going to teach the same class for the same number of minutes. They sit in the same staff room, they go to the same markets, they go to the same shops, they live within the same environment. And therefore, this is not fair, and the government should address issues, not resort to intimidation, instead of addressing the issue at hand. So, we want to indicate that industrial action is still on, and we are not ready to go down to any kind of intimidation as they have resorted to. We have consistently said, let government pay the teachers of science what it promised them. But on top of that, it must look for money and pay other teachers as well, because teachers are teachers and they do the same work in the same workplace. Now, in the presence of the public, where we have a signed agreement that was taken through a series of meetings facilitated by government, and we reached a conclusion and came to an agreement. When we are demanding the government to fulfill its obligation, does that tantamount to misleading the teachers? Because the teachers are aware of the contents of this document, and the document was beginning financial year 2018-2019. It is expiring financial year 2022-2023. Where is the misleading and who is misleading? Therefore, where the government fails to meet its obligation, it is only fair to come up and tell the truth.
We are surprised by the letter written by the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Public Service directing teachers to go back to work, totally disregarding the fact that there is a council that sits at the same ministry where she works, which council processed a collective bargaining agreement between the workers, including the teachers, and the government of Uganda. The collective bargaining agreement I refer to is signed by, on one side, the workers, including the teachers, and on the other hand, by the government. We have had claims that the collective bargaining agreement is not fully signed. From today, we would like you to know, we would like the whole country to know that that agreement is fully signed as we speak now, because the government side was represented by the person who leads the government side on that council in the names of the head of public service. So the collective bargaining agreement is fully signed. What is left now is the implementation, and government is dragging its feet in the implementation of that agreement. And that is where all these problems are coming from, because the teachers under UNATU, the teachers under ULITU, and all the other unions representing teachers are covered in that agreement. If the agreement had been fully implemented, we would not be having this problem today. So the person fueling this problem is none other than government itself. We would like to call upon the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Public Service, as the secretary of that council, to withdraw this ugly letter without any further negotiation. This letter does not serve any purpose in this country. It only serves to bring this instability in the country, because no teacher is going back to work. Matter of fact, the rest of us who are not teachers but are members of the public service are being provoked by that letter to join in the strike. And if that letter is not withdrawn by the end of this week, then do not be surprised to hear that all workers in the public sector have laid down their tools in support of the teachers. We are not going to sit down, keep quiet, and watch as our children suffer in schools because teachers are on strike, because government has failed to fulfill an agreement that they signed. We are disappointed by the Prime Minister's stand. At this point, the Prime Minister should be the person bringing people together and trying to ensure that a problem is solved. But what is happening now is simply fueling the problem. We are disappointed with the Prime Minister of this country, and we want to call upon her to tone down on her speed and ensure that problems are solved through dialogue. This is a democratic country. People sit and have discussions. We don't issue directives. The seasons of directives existed and they collapsed. We are now in a democratic dispensation where people sit and discuss and agree either to agree or disagree. Directives will not work. They will simply escalate the problem. So we want to call upon the Prime Minister. Please, please, please tone down, sit down with the teachers, sit down with the workers, and have the problems resolved. I also want to call upon the members of parliament of this country, including those representing workers. This is not the time for you to keep quiet. We want to hear your voices as parliament. What is your position as far as the plight of teachers in this country is concerned? Are you happy that one teacher is going to earn 4 million shillings while another is earning 400,000 shillings? As members of parliament, we want to know your position as people who represent workers in this country, as people who represent various constituencies in this country. I thank you.